Imagine starting a company and 2 months later someone says, "Here's $475 million. We value your idea at $4.5 billion. Sounds like a movie, right? Well, that just happened. A startup called Unconventional AI, with no product on the market, just a couple months old, is already worth more than companies with thousands of employees and years of history. And the big question isn't just who throws around $500 million so easily. The real question is, what does this tell us about the AI bubble and the future of this whole game? Because this funding round isn't just about money. It's about energy, brain-inspired chips, and whether artificial intelligence will hit a wall in the next 3 or 4 years. Stay until the end because we'll use this case as a magnifying glass to understand which part is just smoke, which part is a real problem, and I'll give you 3 filters so you're not the last one in when the bubbles. Let's talk about the miracle of unconventional AI. Let's put a name and face to this madness. The company is called Unconventional AI. It's about 2 months old and just raised $475 million in a seed round, the kind you normally use to get started. This round is led by Andreessen Horowitz and Lightspeed, two of the world's most important funds. The investor list also includes Jeff Bezos, Lux Capital, DCVC, Databricks, and CEO Naveen Rao himself, who put in $10 million from his own pocket. Who is this guy that everyone's throwing money at? Naveen isn't just anybody. He previously founded Nirvana Systems, which Intel ended up acquiring. He then founded Mosaic ML, which he sold to Databricks for $1.3 billion. So he's already had 2 major exits in artificial intelligence. Now he's leaving Databricks, launching Unconventional AI, and within weeks has secured $500 million with a $4.5 billion valuation. And note, this is just the first part. His plan is to reach $1 billion in funding. We're talking about numbers that a few years ago you'd only see in well-established unicorns, now at the seed stage. Has everyone gone crazy? It might seem so, but typically no one invests that kind of money without reason. Behind this is a massive problem few people see because the focus is on models, chats, videos, not what's happening underneath it all. And that's the real problem, the energy consumption of artificial intelligence. To understand why unconventional AI exists and why someone values it at $4.5 billion without a product, we need to go down to the basement, to the data centers. Today, data centers already consume hundreds of terawatt hours annually. Just the AI server segment is skyrocketing and could multiply in the coming years, to the point where AI consumes what would power a huge portion of an entire country's households. Let me translate that into plain English. Every time you, I, and millions of others ask for a summary, image generation, or translation, there are GPU farms behind the scenes devouring massive amounts of energy. Naveen puts it very simply. The demand for artificial intelligence is growing exponentially. That's why in the description, you'll find my AI course focused on the job market, as artificial intelligence skills are increasingly in demand. So take a look. But our capacity to generate energy only grows linearly. If we continue this way for 3 or 4 years, we might reach a point where AI is limited not by technology, but by electricity costs. And this is where unconventional AI comes in. Their approach is, let's build a much more efficient AI computer inspired by the human brain. Think about your brain. It uses just 20 watts, the same as a small light bulb. Yet you can recognize faces, understand languages, remember stories, make complex decisions. Meanwhile, training a large AI model requires hundreds or thousands of GPUs, megawatts of power, and monthly bills in the millions. They want to approach that biological efficiency, what's called neuromorphic computing, chips that behave more like neurons and less like typical CPUs and GPUs. They talk about goals of 1,000 times more efficiency than current chips, not just 10% more, but 2 or 1,000 times more. And that's when you start to understand why, from a fund's perspective, if this works even minimally, it can be a money printing machine. But whenever a technology emerges promising to change everything, something almost automatic happens in the markets. And that is, how do artificial intelligence bubbles get inflated? In 2024, investment in AI is soaring above $100 billion, which is a jump of about 80% in just 1 year. 1/3 of all venture capital money is going to AI companies. It's the magic word in any pitch. And you start seeing patterns. Massive rounds in very young companies, valuations disconnected from real revenue, and the narrative, if you don't get in now, you're out forever. Everyone's cramming artificial intelligence into their Monday presentations. Sound familiar? Same thing happened with .com, same thing with crypto, with Web. Always the same script. A powerful technology emerges, early adopters make big money, then everyone rushes in with FOMO, afraid to miss out, and valuations completely detached from reality. Eventually, the party ends. With artificial intelligence, we're in a strange phase. Yes, there's real business and useful products, but a bubble is forming around it. The hardware situation is even more extreme. Why? Because making chips isn't like launching an app. You need massive engineering teams, expensive design tools, multiple chip iterations until something works. Then, convincing an industry to stop using Nvidia, which controls 80 to 90% of the chip market. It's like trying to get everyone to stop using iPhones and switch to your experimental phone that isn't even finished yet. Does that mean unconventional AI is a scam? Not necessarily. It means we're at a point where a massive real opportunity is mixed with a very dangerous bubble dynamic. The question isn't whether there's a bubble or not. The question is who's going to be left holding the bill when this corrects itself. Let's move on to the next section. Is unconventional AI smoke or vision? Let's be fair. Points in favor. They have a team with an impressive track record. They've already sold AI startups for hundreds of millions and billions. They're addressing a real problem. AI energy consumption isn't just marketing, it's a physical and economic constraint. Their timing is perfect. Nvidia GPUs are sold out, AI demand is absolutely skyrocketing, and governments are concerned about energy usage. And on top of that, they're tapping into a huge market. If you build the infrastructure that future AI runs on, you're not competing for crumbs. Downsides. Neuromorphic computing has been promising for years, but still hasn't conquered the market. The entire software ecosystem, frameworks, libraries, and talent are optimized for GPUs and NVIDIA. Hardware means years-long cycles if you bet wrong. You can't just upload a patch and be done. They're competing against giants who are also innovating in efficiency, new chips, and architecture. So what is it? The most honest answer is that there are three scenarios. The first is massive success. They achieve differential efficiency, convince major clients, and become a key piece of future AI infrastructure. The second is partial success. They create something great for specific use cases, don't dominate the market, but find their niche and do well. And the third case is an expensive failure. They can't fit their technology into the market, the industry doesn't adapt, and what happens to many hardware companies happens. Great ideas, but bad timing. In any of these three cases, the story is valuable, but only in one does that $4.5 billion seed stage valuation make sense. Now comes the important part for you. I'm going to give you three filters to avoid dying in the artificial intelligence bubble. Beyond unconventional AI, you face daily decisions like which AI tools to use, which projects to work on, and what training to invest your time and money in. If you're investing, which companies do you trust? I propose three simple filters so you don't get carried away by headlines about millions and billions. Filter number one, real physical problem or just a trend? Ask yourself what specific problem this is actually solving. In unconventional AI's case, energy is a measurable and unavoidable physical limitation. And if the project in front of you doesn't tackle a clear, measurable problem and relies only on buzzwords like revolutionize, democratize, reinvent, raise a mental red flag, filter two is who's willing to suffer for this. Look at the team and incentives. Are there people who have built serious things before? Have they invested their own money or reputation? Have they been working on the problem for a while or just added AI to their pitch because it's trendy? At Unconventional AI, Nevin invests his own money and comes from founding two AI companies. That guarantees nothing, but it's different from someone who was making NFTs yesterday and today claims to change the world with AI. Filter 3 is what happens if you remove the word artificial intelligence, and this is my favorite. Mentally remove AI from the project, what remains? If you describe a platform connecting X to Y more efficiently and it makes sense without AI, there's probably something solid there. If you remove AI and all that's left is air, you're looking at a bubble product. Apply this same test to your career. If AI suddenly went out of fashion tomorrow, would your skills still have value? Or do you depend on a trending buzzword? It's important to reconsider this. In the description, you'll find our AI course for those wanting to apply it to their existing jobs and skills, so check it out. Finally, let's get to the conclusion. What does this round tell us about the bubble? Well, let's return to the big question. What does a 2-month-old startup valued at $4.5 billion tell us about the AI bubble? It tells us two things. We're clearly in a bubble phase where money moves faster than reality can justify. And second, Beneath the hype are real problems like AI energy consumption that must be solved if we want this to be sustainable. Historically, bubbles don't just destroy value, they build infrastructure and accelerate advances that would otherwise take decades. The key is not to confuse your role. Don't be the one buying at peak hype without understanding anything. Be the one analyzing data, using filters, and positioning where value remains after the hype fades. If this helped you see this case differently, let me know in the comments. What's your take? Are we facing an irrational bubble or a logical bet on a massive problem? And if you want more videos where we break down AI headlines to understand what's really behind them, subscribe and hit the bell, because what's coming in the next few months will be anything but conventional.